Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are shifting gears from the high-octane, fight-or-flight sympathetic world into the much more relaxed realm of the parasympathetic division. Think of this as the body's maintenance crew, or the rest and digest system. It's the calm after the storm, Dr. Sarah.
Exactly, Dr. Khan. And for the boards, the most critical term to associate with the parasympathetic division is craniosacral outflow. While the sympathetic system is thoracolumbar, T1 to L2, the parasympathetic fibers emerge from two very specific bookends, the brainstem and the sacral segments of the spinal cord.
I love that bookends analogy. It's like the system is hugging the rest of the spinal cord from the top and bottom. But why does this matter clinically? Well, if you have a mid-thoracic spinal cord injury, you might lose sympathetic control, but those cranial parasympathetics are still firing away from the brainstem because they aren't exiting the cord in that injured area. They have a totally different exit strategy.
Precise as always. Now let's talk high-yield numbers. The cranio part involves 4 specific cranial nerves: 3rd, 7th, 9th, and 10th. You must memorize these: oculomotor, facial, glossopharyngeal, and the mighty vagus. These preganglionic fibers are characteristically long, Dr. Khan. They travel almost the entire way to the organ before they find their ganglion.
Right. It's like a non-stop flight from New York to LA, and the taxi ride from the airport to the hotel, the postganglionic fiber, is incredibly short. In fact, those ganglia are often right in the wall of the organ itself. Let's break down those nerves. Why does CN3 matter clinically? It's all about the eyes. When you're resting, you don't need giant dilated pupils to see a lion. You need to constrict them to focus on a book.
Yes, meiosis, or pupil constriction. Then we have CN7 and 9, which handle the wet stuff, salivation and lacrimation. If these aren't working, you've got dry eyes and a dry mouth. But the real heavyweight is cranial nerve 10, the vagus nerve. It accounts for about 75% of all parasympathetic outflow. It wanders from the neck all the way down to the distal third of the transverse colon.
The vagus is the MVP of internal housekeeping. It slows the heart rate, constricts the bronchioles in the lungs because you don't need massive airflow while napping, and it turns the on switch for the stomach and intestines. Clinically, this is why a patient under extreme stress, where the sympathetic system is suddenly withdrawn, might have a vasovagal response and faint. The vagus over-delivers on slowing that heart rate down.
Moving to the sacral part of the craniosacral outflow, we are looking at S2, S3, and S4. These fibers form the pelvic splanchnic nerves. They pick up right where the vagus leaves off, supplying the descending colon, the rectum, the bladder, and the reproductive organs. There is a classic mnemonic for this: S2, 3, 4, keep the poop off the floor. It sounds silly, but it's 100% board relevant for bowel and bladder control.
It's a classic for a reason. Why does this matter clinically? Think about a patient with a lower sacral injury. They might lose those S2, S4 nerves, leading to an atonic bladder. The bladder fills up, but can't contract to empty because the parasympathetic squeeze signal is gone. It's the difference between a functional life and needing a catheter.
And we can't forget the synergy between these systems. In sexual function, we use the point and shoot rule. Point is parasympathetic. That handles the erection via S2, S4. Shoot is sympathetic. That handles ejaculation. You need both systems working in a coordinated dance.
That's a perfect way to show they aren't always just fighting each other. Now, I should mention that if you're dealing with complex autonomic dysfunction, you'd want to consult a specialist, often the doctor of choice in a neurology department, who understands these delicate pathways. It's not just about one nerve, it's about the balance of the whole system.
True. One academic nuance to note for the students: the textbook mentions some recent studies suggesting sacral outflow might actually be anatomically closer to the sympathetic system in terms of gene expression, but for your exams, stick to the traditional craniosacral classification. Examiners are still looking for that classic division.
So to wrap this up, if the sympathetic system is your emergency response team, the parasympathetic is your domestic maintenance crew. It handles the quiet work, slowing the heart, digesting that sandwich, and emptying the bladder.
Summary for the boards: parasympathetic is craniosacral, cranial nerves 3rd, 7th, 9th, and 10th, long preganglionic fibers, short postganglionic fibers. It's all about conservation of energy and organ function during rest.
Stay relaxed, keep your vagus tone high, and we'll see you in the next episode when we dive deeper into the specific nerves of the head and neck. Great talk, Dr. Sarah.
Happy studying, everyone!